The auditorium was packed. Students whispered, phones were out, lights dimmed. On the stage stood a girl, thin, nervous, hands trembling at her sides. Her eyes were closed. She hadn't said a word yet. Some kids in the front row snickered. "Why is she up there?" someone muttered. A week ago Emily couldn't walk down the hallway without hearing cruel jokes. "Hey, Echo Girl. Do you talk like that on purpose? Maybe don't speak at all." She had heard it all. The whispers, the laughs, the mocking imitations of her voice. Every day felt like a fight just to be invisible, and now she stood center stage with every eye on her. One shaky breath escaped her lips. She leaned into the mic. No one knew what was coming. Not the students, not the teachers, not even the bullies. What happened next would silence everyone. Forever. Emily was 15 and lived in a small town called Willow Creek. She was quiet, not because she didn't have things to say, but because she was afraid of how her voice sounded. You see, Emily's voice was different, soft and a little shaky because of a condition she had since she was little. Sometimes people would say she sounded like a whisper, or like she was always nervous. At school it was hard for Emily. She loved music more than anything, but she only sang when she was alone in her room or outside where no one could hear her. Music was her safe place, her secret world. Her classmates didn't understand. They called her names behind her back and laughed when she spoke. The worst was Savannah, the popular girl who was also the best singer in school. Savannah didn't just tease Emily, she made sure everyone else joined in too. Emily didn't have many friends, but there was one boy who always stood by her side, Liam. He was quiet like her, and never judged. He believed Emily had a special voice, even if she didn't believe it herself. At home, Emily's parents tried to be supportive, but they didn't really get what she was going through. Sometimes she felt completely alone, but Liam's quiet encouragement was like a small light in the dark, reminding her that maybe, just maybe, her voice mattered. Every day at Willow Creek High felt like a battle for Emily. It started in class when she tried to answer questions. Her soft voice barely filled the room, and almost every time she spoke, a few kids would snicker or whisper to each other. One morning, Miss Harper asked Emily to read a poem aloud. Emily's voice shook as she read, and a few students giggled. Emily's cheeks burned red, but she kept going, her eyes fixed on the paper. At lunch, it was worse. The cafeteria buzzed with loud conversations, but some students had found a way to make Emily the center of attention, for all the wrong reasons. Someone played a strange recording of Emily talking in the hall, but it was slowed down and distorted to sound funny and weird. The group behind it was led by Savannah. She smiled cruelly as everyone laughed at Emily's expense. "Is that really how you sound?" Savannah asked, loud enough for Emily to hear. Emily's heart sank. The whispers and laughter echoed in her mind all day long. It wasn't just the voice, it was the way they made her feel invisible and broken. Liam saw the pain but didn't know how to help. "You're stronger than them," he told her one afternoon after school. "You just have to believe it." But Emily felt like giving up. She stopped going to choir practice. She stopped singing in the car, or in her room. The one thing that used to bring her joy now only reminded her of the pain. The bullying wasn't just words, it was a wall closing in around her, pushing her further away from the person she wanted to be. Yet deep inside, a small part of Emily still held on to the music she loved. Even if no one else heard it, it was still hers. And maybe, just maybe, it was stronger than the hate. At home, behind closed doors, Emily's voice was different. When no one was around, she would sing softly to herself, letting the music flow out freely. Her voice wasn't perfect or loud, but it was full of feeling, something raw and real that touched her heart every time she sang. One quiet night, Liam was walking past Emily's house, and heard the soft notes drifting through an open window. Curious, he stopped to listen. The voice was beautiful and full of emotion. It was nothing like the voice everyone laughed at school. The next day, Liam found Emily and told her what he had heard. "You have to sing in the talent show," he said with a hopeful smile. "Your voice is amazing." Emily shook her head. "I can't," she whispered. "They'd never let me, they'd just laugh." But Liam didn't give up. He secretly recorded her singing one afternoon at her house, with her permission, and showed the video to Mrs. Carter, the music teacher. Mrs. Carter watched the video carefully. "Emily," she said kindly, "this voice is a gift. You belong on that stage. You just have to believe in yourself." Emily felt a spark of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. For the first time someone believed in her the way she wished she could believe in herself. Still scared, still unsure, Emily didn't answer right away, but deep down she began to think maybe she could try. Maybe her voice wasn't a weakness, maybe it was her power. A few days later, Mrs. Carter came to Emily during class with a gentle smile. "Emily, the talent show is coming up. We would love for you to perform." Emily's heart raced. She wanted to say yes, but the fear was louder. "I'm not ready," she said quietly. "Maybe next time." Mrs. Carter nodded, but didn't push. She could see how scared Emily was. That night, Emily went online and saw something that crushed her, a cruel video someone had posted, making fun of her voice again. The comments were filled with laughter and insults. She stared at the screen, feeling the familiar sting of shame. She was about to delete all her social media and hide away forever. But then she remembered Liam's words and Mrs. Carter's kindness. Something inside her shifted. Maybe this time, it wasn't about the bullies. Maybe it was about proving to herself that she was more than their jokes. With trembling hands, Emily typed her name into the talent show sign-up form and hit submit. She didn't tell anyone. Not Liam, not her parents, not even Mrs. Carter. This time, she was doing it for herself. And what happened next would change everything. That night, Emily lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind, soft but clear. "Your voice is your gift, never hide it." Her grandmother had always believed in her, even when Emily didn't believe in herself. She remembered sitting on her grandmother's lap, singing lullabies, feeling safe and loved. For the first time in a long time, Emily felt something strong and warm inside, a courage she didn't know she had. She decided she wasn't going to run away from the bullies anymore, not because she wanted to prove them wrong, but because she owed it to herself to be brave. The next day at school, Emily kept her secret. She smiled at Liam when he asked if she was coming to the talent show, but she didn't answer. The days leading to the show were hard. Doubts crept in, but she practiced in secret, finding strength in every note she sang alone. The night of the talent show arrived faster than she expected. Her heart pounded as she waited backstage, hearing the crowd laugh and cheer for the acts before her. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and reminded herself, this was her moment. No matter what happened next, she was ready. Because this time, her voice was hers, and nothing could take that away. The auditorium buzzed with noise as students filled the seats, waiting for the talent show to begin. The stage lights shone bright, casting long shadows across the room. Parents, teachers and classmates chatted excitedly, their voices mixing with the sound of music coming from the speakers. Backstage, Savannah was full of confidence. She laughed loudly with her friends, bragging about how she was going to win the whole show. "No one can touch my voice," she said with a smirk. "Especially not that quiet girl who barely talks." Liam looked around nervously, searching for Emily. She wasn't backstage where she said she would be. Maybe she backed out, he thought, feeling worried. One by one, the acts performed. A group of dancers twirled across the stage. A boy played the piano with steady hands. Savannah's turn finally came, and the crowd cheered loudly as she sang a powerful song. Her voice was beautiful and strong, exactly what everyone expected. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. Then the lights dimmed again. A hush fell over the room. Emily walked onto the stage. At first, there were whispers and a few snickers. Some students thought it was a joke. Others couldn't believe she had the courage to come up. Emily stood still, eyes closed, hands gripping the microphone. The room waited, wondering if she would really sing. Then she took a deep breath and started to sing. Her voice was soft at first, but it grew stronger with every note. It wasn't like Savannah's loud practiced voice. It was raw, full of feeling, and completely her own. The audience fell silent. No one moved, no one whispered. Even Savannah stopped smiling. Emily's voice wrapped around the room, like a warm hug, honest and powerful. By the time she finished, the silence broke into cheers and tears. People stood and clapped, some wiping their eyes. Emily opened her eyes and saw the crowd, not laughing, not whispering, but listening, truly listening. That night, she wasn't the girl with the strange voice. She was the girl who silenced every hater with her song. Emily's voice floated through the auditorium, like a soft breeze at first, gentle but full of emotion. As she sang, her confidence grew with every note. The shaky voice that had once made her feel weak now carried a deep, haunting beauty that no one expected. Her song wasn't loud or flashy. It was real, every word filled with the pain and hope she had kept inside for so long. The crowd sat still, completely captivated. Even Savannah's smug smile disappeared, replaced by wide eyes and quiet shock. Emily sang with everything she had, her voice rising and falling like waves in the ocean. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and that honesty touched everyone listening. When the last note faded, the silence was so thick, it felt like time had stopped. Then slowly, the audience erupted in applause. It wasn't just polite clapping, it was loud, heartfelt cheering. Some students wiped tears from their eyes. Liam stood cheering the loudest, a proud smile on his face. For the first time, Emily felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, pride. She looked out at the crowd, and saw faces filled with respect, not ridicule. Her voice had done what words could not. It had broken through the noise of hate, and filled the room with something powerful. In that moment, Emily knew she was more than her voice. She was a brave girl who dared to be herself. And that was her greatest strength. The next day at school, something had changed. The whispers and laughter that had followed Emily like shadows were gone. Instead, students approached her quietly, offering smiles and kind words. "Emily, I'm sorry for how I acted," one girl said softly. Another asked if she would sing again sometime. Even Savannah avoided her usual teasing, though her eyes showed surprise, and maybe a little respect. She said nothing. Liam walked beside Emily in the hallway, proud and smiling. "You did it," he said simply. For the first time, Emily felt like she belonged. Her voice was no longer a target but a gift others admired. The pain from the bullying hadn't disappeared overnight, but the courage she found on stage gave her a new strength. She knew there would still be hard days, but now she was ready. Because she had learned something important. Her voice mattered, not despite being different, but because of it. Sometimes, the thing that makes someone different is the very thing that makes them powerful. Emily's story isn't just about singing, it's about finding courage when everything feels impossible. She didn't let the bullies win, instead she stood tall, used her voice, and showed the world who she really was. Her song silenced the hate and opened hearts. So remember, no matter what others say, never be ashamed of your voice, your true voice. Because you never know who needs to hear it.